Hey guys, in this lesson, we'll be looking at lists and images in HTML. Now, I still have up my index page from our previous activity, and what I'm going to do is partition it a bit. So we did some text tags at the top here, and then we have the anchor tag, but now I'm going to look at lists. So I want to create a little line on the page, so I'm going to use another tag, and that one is the HR tag. So we have the BR tag being our first self-closing tag. Now we have this one that is called the HR, and it is short for horizontal rule. All right, so we're creating a horizontal rule that's literally a line, and I'm just going to preview it with live server. So open with live server, and that launches our browser where we can see our line. All right, so that's what the HR gives you, this line. That's all. All right, so under this line, I'm going to put an H2 tag, and then I'm going to just say that these are lists. All right, so we're working with lists today. All right, so I'm just partitioning the page. That's all I'm doing. So I have the first section, and then I have a line to show that I'm starting the second section. And then in the lists section, now we'll look at how we create lists in HTML. Now, a list can be, like I'm sure you guys use Microsoft Word, where you want to list out some points, whether you have it as bullets or you have it as 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C. The fact is, the same way that a list looks in Microsoft Word, that same mechanism and look and feel can be kind of replicated in HTML code. Now we need to understand that there are two types of lists. There are ordered lists and there are unordered lists. The ordered list would be the one that can count. You can see the first, second, third. So A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. Anything that you can count, that's the ordered list. If you can't count it, then it's an unordered list. So the bullet points would be unordered list. That being said, however, the two look very identical, and the only difference really is the first tag, which tells you what kind of list it is. So let's start with the ordered list. So I'm just going to put in a comment. And the keyboard shortcut for a comment is when you hold down Control, press K and C. So an HTML comment looks like the angle bracket, exclamation sign, dash, dash, and then whatever you write here. Once it's green, at least based on the color coding that Visual Studio Code is giving you, that means it won't render on your page. It won't affect your code in any way, shape, or form. So I can just say lists or ordered lists. We're doing ordered lists first. All right, and then to close the comment, you have dash dash and the angle bracket. Once again, the keyboard shortcut is holding down Control and pressing K and then C, and that gives you comments. All right, so let's look at the ordered list. So the first tag in an ordered list is OL. So I open angle bracket, OL, close angle bracket, and then we have our first tag needed for a list, OL, ordered list. All right, nice and easy to remember. Now inside of the OL, what we have is the LI or list item. Now the inside of the OL, no other tag should appear but a list item. Only list items are allowed inside of ordered lists or inside of lists. All right, and then our list item can have anything. It can have any other tag that we want. So if we want to put a P tag in there, if we want a text, we could put a P tag, and I could say list item 1. All right, and then for every list item that there is, you just declare a new list item or LI tag. So list item, and then I can say maybe an anchor tag this time, list item 2. So I'm just depicting that it doesn't matter, or most tags that are allowed anywhere else, the H tag, the P tag, even image tags, can be put inside of list item tags. All right, but just don't put the P tag outside of the list item. So the only tag that should appear in between the open and close of an OL is an LI. Once you have your LI, then you can put anything you want in there. So whether it's the text by itself, the P tag, an anchor tag, anything it is, or most things can go inside of the list item. So I'm going to just write a few list items, all right, and I'm going to put P tags inside. So I'm just going to copy and paste. So list item 1, list item 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's 1, 2. I'm going to put 3, 4, and 5, right? So all I did was take out the anchor tag. So I was just showing you that any kind of tag can go inside of the list item. I took out the anchor tag that was there. Now my list items only have p tags. All right. Now let's take a look at what that renders out to be. So if I find my browser, which has my live preview, then you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what the ordered list does. It gives me a list and shows me the count for each list item. All right. And then on the flip side, I have the unordered list. So the unordered list looks exactly like the ordered list. So I'm just going to make a space, make a comment, and say unordered list. All right. And then the difference between them is that one starts with OL and one starts with UL. So UL is unordered list, OL is ordered list. That's the only difference. And then I'm going to take these same list items, going to copy, and I'm going to place them inside of the UL. So the same way that the OL is only expecting list items to be as part of it or part of its content, it's the same way that the UL is only expecting to see LI along the way, and then anything can go inside of the LI. All right, so I just made that adjustment. Let's look at the preview, and here you see we have the ordered list and we have the unordered list. All right, so that is how you can create lists in your HTML document. Now, notice that they're very close to each other. I want a bigger space. So if I want a space at any point between two lines, we went through this already with the p tag, then I can just put in a break. So this break will introduce a space, and as many breaks as I have, that's as many spaces as I'll get. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 breaks. If I render that, then I'm going to see 5 breakpoints worth of space between the element at the topmost breakpoint and the element at the last breakpoint. All right. So that's how you can space out your content a bit on your page if you think that they're too close or they need a little more daylight between the top and the bottom. All right. So what if we wanted to change the way the list looks? All right. So for the ordered list, if I wanted it to say ABC instead of 1, 2, 3, then the OL tag, or well, the OL and UL tags, they have an attribute called type. So I can determine what type I want for my OL. So if I say capital A, then that means it's a capital alpha ordering. And if I leave it at capital A and go back, then I see it's now A, B, C, D, E. If I change this from capital A to maybe common I, let's see what that yields. Now I'm seeing small Roman numerals, right? So you have some variations that you can apply if you want to have some differentiation between your lists. Now I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is adding an image. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to create another horizontal rule, and then I'm going to give it a heading. So I'm going to use H2, and then I'm going to say images. All right. So on the images, we need to be able to display an image in our web page. Well, the first thing we need before we can display an image in our page is an actual image. So let's go on the internet and find an image. All right, so I'm opening my browser and I can go to maybe Google Images. So I'll just say google.com, and I found this nice picture of a lion. So I just went to Google Images, search for lion, and then I want to display or use this image of this lion inside of my web page that I am now authoring. All right, so we have our heading, and the expectation is that the lion's image is going to appear after the word or the heading images. So I'm going to save this, and I can just right click it, save image as, find the folder where our website is, and then we save it. But then before I save it, I'm going to suggest that you make the file name as easy and indicative as possible, because 4860 blah blah blah, that does not tell me that this is an image of a lion, right? And then there's no way I'm going to try and remember that so I can reference it in code. So I'm just going to say lion, And it is important to note the extension that the file gets, which is .jpg. All right, so lion.jpg, that is my image, and I save it. Now I saved it in Explorer, but look at what happens. Visual Studio Code realizes that a new file was added, and it now displays that new file right here for my convenience. All right, so the objective now is to display lion.jpg inside of my web page. So we have a new tag, which is coincidentally another self-closing tag, and this is in the form of the img tag. So I open angle bracket, say img, and then I'm just going to go ahead and close it at the same time. All right, so open img, close. Now img requires, well, it has an attribute that it requires. So remember, just like with our anchor tag, we needed the href for it to have any functionality. Well, the img tag is literally just going to give you the image of a broken, or the visual of a broken image. Well, sometimes it does. Okay, it's not even giving you anything by itself. All right, so what we need is the src. So img, and then I say space, and then the attribute is src. So remember that attributes, we have the attribute name, and then we have equals and open and close quotation marks. And then what we're putting in here is the name of the file, or really the path to the file. In this situation, I'm just talking about the name. So the name is lion.jpg. All right, so we're making reference and we're telling you that the image, the source for this image is this file. That's all that is saying right there. And then let's just go back to our document. Let me close the excess windows. And then when I look at it, I see the image being displayed. All right, so that's how you get an image to be displayed in your document. Now you can adjust the dimensions of your image, and then this is where I'm going to introduce the concept of CSS to you. That is CSS, short for Cascading Style Sheets. Now this appears in three ways. It can be inline, internal, or external. So we're going to look at a little inline CSS here. And then this is just a precursor. I'm not going to go too in depth, but I'm just going to use CSS to modify the presentation of the image. And to be more specific, I'm going to change the width and the length. All right. So to get CSS, we can invoke another attribute, and that one is style. So the first attribute that we used was src. Now we're going to use one that's style. So I say style is equal to, and quotation mark, and then the anatomy of CSS. And let me just write it down here in a comment so that you can get a visual representation of what I'm saying. So in a CSS block of code, we have what we call a selector, and then a colon, and then a value. All right, and then a semicolon. So for as many properties of the tag that you want to change, we call that the selector. What is it that you're selecting for change? So in this case, I wanted to change the width and the height. That would be the selector. Width would be a selector and height would be a selector. And then the value would be what I want to change those, attributes to. So if I'm changing the width of this image, then I'm going to say inside of my quotation marks, width as my selector, and then colon, and then I'm going to put it at maybe 250 px. Px is short for pixels, so that's the unit of measurement that it's most widely used. Others are creeping in and becoming popular, but px is very widely used. All right, so I want my width of my image to be 250 pixels, and then I ended it with a semicolon. Then I can want to change the height also, so I'm going to say height colon. So I'm just following the same pattern, right? So as many things as you want to change, you call that the selector, and then you just set the value that you want to put on that attribute. So I want the height to be maybe 200 pixels. All right, those are just random. There's nothing behind why I'm choosing those values. I just want to see some change. So when I go back and look at my image, I see that it is now 200 by 250 pixels. All right, so that is how you can effect change, and the most recommended way to effect change on your visual elements. So the same way that I could have done injected the style attribute on the image, I could have done it on the text. I could change the text color, I could change the font, and let's do that. I'm actually going to just go and change the fonts. We're going to experiment with the H1 tag and how CSS can be used to change how it looks. All right, so going back up, this is our H1 tag, and then I'm going to look for the style attribute. And then what I want to change on it is maybe I want the color. So color, I want it to be brown. All right, let's see if brown will show. All right, so if you look at it, you see that there's a different color there for the color. All right, there's brown there for the color. And then I also maybe want to change the font that's at use, so I can say font. Now, this would be font dash family for the type of font. So the thing is, for as many attributes as you can think about, the words might be there, but there are a few that may not match. All right, so like maybe you probably thought about changing the text or text type instead of font family, or even font type. Maybe you weren't thinking font family. So a lot of the times you may think it one way, but the selector is another thing. That being said, W3 Schools is your friend. Go there, find what it is you need to find, and I'm sure you'll find the correct selector for what it is you want to accomplish. You may not be able to memorize all of them. I wouldn't tell you that you need to memorize all of them. It's good just to appreciate the concept and remember the most commonly used ones and know how to adapt when you need something outside of what it is that you're used to. All right. So font family, and then I'm just going to keep this simple and change it to Arial. So when I change the font family to Arial, I think it was Times New by default. You can see the instant change. Now I have a brown heading one, and it is also in the font Arial. So that's it for this lesson. We looked at creating ordered and unordered lists. We also looked at inserting an image into our web page. So as many images as you have in your document or in your folder, you can make reference to them relatively easily. And then we looked at using CSS to effect visual changes on our elements.